opportunities and/or events are intended for educational purposes only and are not intended to override, modify, misrepresent, or take the place of the guidance and advice of your medical care team.
Hey everyone, my name's Amy and I happen to be a student at the University of Arizona in their online program for nutrition. Today, I happen to be partnering with Roadrunner Food Bank's Healthy Food Center to help bring you guys a series of videos on high blood pressure and how it relates to what we eat. Today, we're going to be talking about potassium. We're going to be specifically looking at what potassium is, how it helps, how much we need to eat in a day, and what food contains higher amounts of potassium. All right, so let's get started. So what is potassium? Potassium is an essential nutrient that our body needs in order to function properly. Specifically, it helps regulate our blood pressure. And according to the CDC, eating enough potassium can actually decrease your risk of heart disease, which is one of the main complications that you can get from having uncontrolled high blood pressure. So how exactly does potassium help lower our blood pressure? Well, potassium functions like the opposite of sodium. Where sodium likes to pull water into our bloodstream, potassium likes to take it out. And when these two nutrients are in their natural balance, you wind up with normal blood pressure. However, if sodium creeps up and potassium creeps down over a long period of time in our diets, then you can wind up with higher blood pressure. So by eating higher levels of potassium, you can actually start to regulate your blood pressure more because of this. How much potassium do we actually need in a day? The amount of potassium that we need in a day is approximately 4,700 milligrams. And Americans typically tend to be eating a lot less than this, primarily because potassium is found in mostly fruits, vegetables, beans, and other plant-based food, which are some of the things that Americans tend to eat the least of, actually. So what food contains high levels of potassium? The best foods that you can be eating for potassium are dried fruit, especially apricots, prunes, and raisins, plant protein, especially lentils and kidney beans, starchy vegetables, especially acorn squash and potatoes, fruit, but especially bananas, orange juice, and cantaloupe, and finally vegetables, especially vegetables such as spinach, broccoli, and asparagus. These foods tend to have higher levels of potassium compared to other foods that are out there. So if you get the opportunity to include even some of these into your diet, you can probably see your blood pressure go on the downward trend. All right, so let's review what we learned today. Today we learned that potassium is an essential nutrient that functions as the opposite of sodium. It helps us regulate our blood pressure by pulling water out of our bloodstream. We also learned that if we eat enough potassium, you can actually wind up lowering your blood pressure. We also learned that people only need about 4,700 milligrams of potassium in a day. And finally, we learned that the foods that happen to be the highest in potassium tend to be plant-based food, like dried fruit, plant-based proteins, starchy vegetables, fruit, and other types of vegetables. All right, so I really hope that this video was interesting to you, and this is the last video in this video series. All right, so I really hope that this entire video series was useful to you and that you learned something from it. And I really hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching the video today, and remember that at the end of each of these videos there is going to be a short quiz that you can complete listed down in the description box. This is just made to help you review what we went over in this video. Also, there is a PDF linked down there with notes from all of these videos in this series so that you can keep them. All right, see you in the next video.